A nice little stretch. Whew. And maybe what we could do together is the 8 movements from the mandala. So Tricia and I and Pulelehua are very fortunate to do the mandala dance in Bali. We did it with ourselves.
Oh, my phone is shutting down.
No. That's funny. Look, her face was hilarious. She'll be back. I'll keep on and we'll give her a minute. I was going to say I am really enjoying the 8 movements or the 8 poses from the mandala dance, the one that Cherie originally did in 2014. We've continued to explore that and add things to it. I've now done it quite a few places. We also did it at Kim Vetter's workshop in Toronto, Elaine, a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And every time we do it, I find another element in it. And I am finding it to be a very settling. I love the whole process, but even just the eight movements themselves. And Pulelehua and Tricia will remember, Elaine, when we were at the kids' school in Bali, it was so sweet because we didn't do the whole thing, but we had them do the 8 movements and count them out. And they counted them in English, then they counted them in Balinese, then they counted them in Indonesian. And it was so sweet to watch them so enthusiastically embrace those kind of 8 movements. So I thought that was very cool. So we'll give Jess maybe a minute or two just to see if she comes back, which I'm sure she will. I have been on the run since 6 this morning. I said, when I get home from dragon boating, I said, before this meeting, I am having a glass of good Spanish red wine. It's wonderful. Anyway.
Just while we're waiting for you and Pulelehua,
yeah.
The Made Soare, the little dancer, the lead dancer, the really gorgeous pretty one, has just said she's got into university and she's going to do accounting.
Oh, she was waiting to hear when we were there. That's exciting.
Yeah, she said, and her orientation is next week, I think, her registration. So that just made me so happy for her.
She is such a sweet girl. Well, they're all sweet girls. Well, on one other note, while we're just waiting for a second, or Jessica gets back, Tricia, did you get an opportunity at all to talk to Katut about me sending on or creating a mechanism to get that fancy camera to?
I didn't. I wasn't sure where we were with that.
That's okay.
When we got there, they weren't there. They'd gone off to this other project, and then they came back, and then it was full with this.
That's totally fine. Because I've been back. But I'll email him just before I do anything. Okay, no problem. It just was in my mind. I thought, I didn't finish that up.
I know. It's never enough time to do everything because you have to go through at their pace. And there was a lot to do with Made Soare going to university and then so it's good. But she emailed me and she said her dad works on the land and her mum works for the farmers who plant the rice and she harvests the rice. And I just thought, what an amazing transformation for that young lady to be able to go to university. It just makes me so.
And she's so, Elaine, this young lady, she's 18 and she dances, and so they did this little dance offering and their music didn't work and the internet didn't work. So we said, just do it. Well, she led this group of dancers and they're singing it, and it's quite complicated music. This is not like singing, Hallelujah. And she led them. I mean, just watching her you just feel like you're transported to another dimension. It's so incredibly intricate. And they sang the piece, this very, not sang, but sort of hummed the music, right? It was quite stunning. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just email just see here. Is she coming back?
Jessica, I'm going to just text her.
Okay. Did you text her? Okay.
I just texted
give her
her as well, so to see if that might work better.
Mary may have waited till 9 o'clock. Mary may be home. But we'll
Oh, that's
you know, it's all good. Is that somebody? Well, let's the 4 of us do the 8 movements then, and the rest of them can come. So we start with the first pose, our hands at our side. It says, I am here, I am present. You can stand up or sit down, wherever you want. I am here, I am present, I am in this place. I bring my hands to my heart, I engage my heart. I check in with myself. I reach my hands forward, connecting with the community around me. I acknowledge my place in the community. I reach up, acknowledging my place, the divine connection, my connection with the whole universe. I bring my hands together in my commitment to my place in the universe and my responsibility to the planet. I bring my hands back into my heart, where I reconnect with who I am. I take my right hand, I give from my heart. I bring my right hand back, I take my left hand, and I receive into my heart. Thank you. Okay. Well, I think we'll start, and we'll just sort of, people will come and go as they come and go. So I don't know if you all had a chance to read the draft note to members that I was going to send out. So here's the scenario since we've been back from all of these wonderful things. I've called a lot of people, I've emailed people, I've talked to people about coming on board, and I've had some great conversations, and many, many people have said, oh, she's just, hi Jessica, oh, you just missed our 8 movement.
I'm back.
Really?
It's really hard to get back on once you get disconnected.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're here. So we just did the 8 Mandela movements because we had done these in Bali, a number of places, and the with the ashram was a wonderful. That was a. Did you didn't receive the video from them yet, Tricia? Did you?
Say again, Wendy.
The ashram was gonna. They sent us photos, but they were also going to send us the video of the Mandela dance.
I haven't received that.
Something we might follow up on it just because it would be great to have it.
It would be lovely. And what I would like is your write-up of, you know, of all those moves and then the separate layers. Could you do that?
I'll send you that. Yeah, I will give that to you.
Thank you.
I will do that. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, so anyway, and we also did it at the Vetter Workshop in Toronto. We had a couple of times to do it, and people really are sort of embracing this process. So we just did the 8 movements, but you missed them. But that's okay, Jessica. We'll share them another day.
I went and had my own meditation while I watered my flowers.
Oh, good.
Waiting for my food to start.
So just so to catch everybody up, so I sent you out my sort of suggested email that I think I'm going to send out to people with everybody's approval.
I'm sorry, Wendy. When did you send this? I can't find it.
I sent it with the note that we were going to meet. It was a draft of my June kind of membership note.
I sent it on Wednesday last week.
Okay.
But it's okay. Basically, what I'm saying in it, basically.
Go ahead and talk about it. I'm so baffled I can't find it.
That's okay. That's okay. But in essence, what I'm saying is I've gone out, I've looked at the board, and by the way, Michelle also has decided after much reflection that with the baby coming and trying to go back to work and trying to this, that she's going to give up her position as well. So that means 2 PR people are off the board. 2 program people are off the board. Pulelehua in resources is off the board, and I should be going off the board. That leaves a very thin board. And so I have talked to a lot of people. I have emailed people. Some people I hear from, some I don't, whatever. And what I'm hearing from many people is they're very interested. They would love to do it, but this isn't the right time for them. And that's okay. So my thinking, as I've been sort of reflecting on that and how much effort and energy to put into it is that it's a message in and of itself. And so I still think I should send that email out that basically says, okay, people, there's a lot of people going off the board, and I'll switch it up a little bit now. If we don't have people who are ready and enthusiastic about coming on, not just, okay, I'll do it. I don't think we need to be interested in that. Then what I'm saying is the board will meet again and reflect on what next steps to take. My recommendation at this point in time is that we move to a dormancy after assessing how dormant we need to be, and there are many levels of dormancy. I had a long conversation with Peggy Hoffman about how to do this and what to do. Today I spoke to Ellen Young, one of the past presidents. I've talked to a lot of different people, not everybody, but quite a few, just trying to kind of get a sense of what would be what's the best way to do this and what is the best way to provide potential for the future. My thinking at this moment is that we have done, and I just also looked at all the finances back to 2008, and I have to tell you, I had kind of forgotten myself, but from 2008 after the festival to 2013, every year we lost between $10,000 and $15,000.
Mm.
Since 2013, we have maintained exactly where we're at. Like, so we have not, we might have lost 300 this and gained 300 there, but we've maintained, so we're almost exactly where we were when we started 3 years ago, which is actually quite a feat, that we didn't lose anything, and we did a lot of stuff. We accomplished a lot of things. So, but at the same time, what we didn't do is transform that in any way and create a new mechanism for funding that would see us being able to breathe and do things in a way that gives you that space. So I think that, and again, I've got some work to do myself and maybe some other people too, to look at how we could go dormant and what that would mean and what kind of things we could, should, and would want to continue to do. So for example, the first thing we would do is stop the next wave contract and determine how to transfer whatever we have in there out. So take the database, take the finances, whatever we need to do. So there's work to do that. If I understand it correctly, the New Hampshire requires, if you go into a dormant or semi-dormant state, that you have a minimum of 5 people that remain on a board of directors. Which Barbara has agreed to remain, Noelle has agreed to remain, I will remain, I'll put a condition on that in a second, Tricia will remain, and who am I missing? Marilyn will remain. So we have 5 who are willing to stay in the dormant state. I personally would like to engage a few other people in that while we're dormant, because I think there's other things we can be doing, but we can talk about that in a minute. But technically or legally, you need to have 5 people who stay. You need to continue to pay and file your taxes annually. So we have a friend of Mary's, actually, who's been doing our taxes for the last 3 years. It's $500 a year. That's not hard to do, accepting, of course, that she gets all the financials from Next Wave. So we wouldn't have Next Wave anymore doing that. We would have much simpler financials, of course, one would think. And so we would need to put in place a mechanism. You still need a treasurer or somebody managing a bank account, even if there's not much happening in the bank account. Barbara, I've talked to a little bit about that. We haven't had a comprehensive conversation, but she would be willing to take that on if that was the case. I'm also thinking that Peggy Hoffman in Maryland, because that's where everything is right now, if we've scaled down to the point where it's quite a simple task, she might be willing to take it on for us and be sort of a semi-board meeting board member at the same time. So there's some possibilities there. Again, I think there's lots of things we can still do. Elaine and I talked about the trip to England. There is really nothing specifically that the Guild has to do organizationally to make that happen. It's kind of like the doors to New York City. Everybody does what they do and away you go. Tricia and I haven't talked about Bali 2017, but there's certainly ways to continue to make that happening without having the organization run the finances. It's still certainly possible. One of the other things that would be a requirement would be things like, you know, getting the database out and figuring out a way that if we want to contact people, how would we do that? So there's tons of questions, and there's lots of elements that we would want to document that, you know, option A, B, C, and D. But at this point, I don't really see a better way forward. So I'm going to just shut up for a sec, throw that out there, and one by one, maybe we can comment or question or whatever.
Okay, well, first cab off the bank. Does that mean members will still pay a membership fee, or will dormancy mean that there is therefore no income from that stream?
So basically what it means, Tricia, again, and there's many levels. In general, dormancy would mean you no longer collect membership fees. Your members at the point in time that you go dormant is your list of members at that moment. There are options. You could still accept donations. You know, people could write checks. That's possible to do that if you wanted to do it, but you wouldn't be running a membership database with membership renewals, etc. You would kind of be going silent there. You would still be you would have enough money to pay, you know, keep your insurance if that was an important thing to do, and that would be something we as a board would need to decide. You keep enough money to pay your tax woman to do the taxes. You keep enough to do those things for a 2 to 3 year period. And after, at a certain point in time, you then need to decide, okay, either someone breathes life back in and regenerates it, or you go, or you dissolve, which is, there's a whole nother set of requirements when you actually dissolve a nonprofit charitable trust in the States. Or they dissolve you eventually, I guess. Now, maybe Pulelehua, you can comment next, because you have had some experience, background, and whatever to some of this in some ways. And I have talked to people who have gone through it too, but you might have something to offer.
The two groups that I've been involved with that we've done this, one, the group eventually ended. The other one, the group was reborn. In both cases, similar to us, they had a heavy overhead.
Yeah.
So next wave is our overhead, and that was, so in the case of the group that was reborn, what they did was, you know, when they redid their records and all of that and put it in a different kind of environment, they then went back to their original model, kind of like what we had 20 years ago when I was on, which was volunteers handled the database of donors, and they went from a membership organization to a donor organization, and people could donate at a certain level and become, it was an interesting way to do it, and the organization still exists. So that was the advantage of that, and both organizations in the interim, in the 3 year or 2 years, I can't remember exactly how long for which one, they still had a bunch of things on the books that were going to happen, and they still did them. They just stopped collecting membership fees but accepted donations.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a very viable way to do it.
Yeah, that, you know, it was financially, it worked well, and then they never went, neither one went back to a membership organization.
No. Really?
Although
That's cool.
technically in that they don't collect membership fees, but as far as a non-profit goes, they have a membership that's defined, you know, they redefined their membership for voting.
Right.
And this that had to do with the governing board. So there's still that governing board and those things, but it was way simpler. So basically it was kind of like what we did with the database, throw at everything and start all over again.
Yeah.
I see a really clear analogy of doing that with the organization. Let's just stop everything and then take a deep breath.
And you know, I'm the kind that
can, but you know.
I wouldn't want to presume what it would look like if somebody else or another group or a new group of people said, let's revision it. I have no idea. I think that's part of the point. We don't know what it would look like. And I think maybe that's a good way to be, and not try to predetermine what it would look like. Really allowing an emergence to happen, if it's to happen, you know. I don't know. And I'm okay with, you know.
I think that we wouldn't be going into dormancy.
Okay, I'm going to say the difference, I think, from most other organizations that I know a few that have done this, but most of them are local, where people are all local. This, I haven't been involved in an organization that's kind of global, if you will, and as dispersed as we are, that has gone back to that full volunteer process. I haven't seen that or know of it. So I think there are some types of organizations that lend themselves more to one way or another. But, you know, I don't know what might emerge, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm totally whatever. Like, who knows? There's lots of models that are out there these days that could be totally different, one we haven't even thought of. Jessica, what about you?
Well, two things. One's a question about process, which is, I think you've mentioned in the past, Wendy, one of the other requirements that we'd have when we go dormant is we have to maintain our insurance. Is that right?
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Oh.
That's one of those things that we would decide. You can maintain it because that gives you certain things, and we have fairly cheap insurance right now compared to what the going rates are, just because we've had this company for a while, I guess. I'm not really sure, but that's something we need to look at, and it will be a decision we have to make. We don't need to do it, but if we have enough money, often it's a recommended thing to do. But it would be something to evaluate. How much would it cost over 2 years? Should we keep it? And I think that would be a year-by-year decision. We keep it this year, and these are the values of having it, or we don't. But you don't have to.
Right.
You have to file your 990, and you have to file your New Hampshire corporate.
The other thing is just a comment, which is, you know, I've known you over the past 3 years to be sort of indefatigable about, you know, that we can keep the guild going and that we can transform it, we can see what happens, holding it all very loosely, of course, but to, you know, to hear you say that it's time to go dormant, I'm sure that that's been a very long consideration process for you, so I take that very seriously. And I think, I hope everyone else on the board does too.
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, it has, because I think, I mean, actually, when we took over 3 years ago, I had thought we'd probably maybe go dormant that first year. I thought, let's just do it in a nice way. That was really my thinking. And then because I thought, oh, there seems to be different energy, a new energy, and let's ride that wave a little bit. And we did. And I think it was a really important 3 years. I really do. And I think what we did as a community was created a very good feeling within people. Everybody I talk to has a good feeling. And I think that's really important to me. And this last festival, I've talked to people who said it was the best one they've ever been to. So it was a really important, that's an important thing to do, you know. It didn't end with some of those sort of things that we had before. And so I feel, in a way, the Bali trip was magnificent. The Vetter Workshop in Toronto was great. We've just done some really nice things in the last 3 years. And so I think we're kind of positioned now to go dormant nicely. And that actually gives us a better position to re-energize or see if the spark picks up. We do have some wonderful young new people and different people coming forward that are sort of emerging in all these weird little places. I'm like, okay, like, sure, let's see then. So I feel actually kind of a bit relieved almost that, but I'm not saying we will, I'm just saying that if we send this letter out to the membership, and if, as I suspect, we don't find 5 people who say, are you crazy, I'm going to do this, then I think the next step is we need to be ready as a board for the next step.
Right. Another question for you. I know that you had, for a long time, a magic number, like if our bank accounts hit a certain point,
5,000.
then we would start the process for dormancy.
Yep.
You didn't mention that. It sounds like it's more the issue of having a full board for next year. So how are our bank accounts doing in relation to that magic number?
Correct. You're correct. It's more right now the fact that we don't have an energetic board that says we're willing to really do all this. That's number one. I always said if we ever get to $5,000, we'd pull the plug, period, because $5,000 gives you about enough money for 2 years to pay your insurance if you decide to keep that, pay your fees to New Hampshire, and get your taxes done, and the few other little things you have to do, right? You may want to keep hosting your website or whatever. These are all decisions we need to make. We're not there. Now, to be honest, I just got the financials for June, for May. Until on July the 15th, I'll get the financials for June. We have finished everything. So the Vetter workshop, and believe me, there was lots of, not complications, but because we were working in 5 currencies, Australian, Indonesian, US, Canadian, what was the third one? I have 4th one there. Huh?
Euros for...
Euros?
I don't.
Italy?
No, I didn't do euros. Australia. Anyway, I mean, so working between, it all worked. I got to tell you, it all worked, right? Everything worked. But transferring money and transferring currency and transferring exchange rates at the day by day, it changes. Lots of things shift. You think it was this, and then it was that, and now it was this, and so I really don't know. To be quite honest, I don't actually know exactly where we're at until I see it all on the books, which I will get July the 15th. My expectation is we're going to be about the same place, which is about where we just seem to live in this world of $20,000. That seems to be where we live. We have $20,000. At any point in time, we always have $20,000. For the last 3 years, we've always had $20,000. Sometimes 19, sometimes 22, but we're right there at $20,000. And I think we're going to be right about there. So we're not, but having said that, without anything on the horizon, you know, other than new memberships and things like that, which I'll talk about that in a sec, and nothing this year, and without the energy and the financial kind of little bit of weight behind us, I can't see pulling off a festival in 2017. Without that, right, you kind of are left with your local programming. So I'm like, okay, then, you know, without the people, without a financial shift moving in the upward direction, then I'm feeling like maybe it is the right time to take that step onto the beach and say, let's watch the waves for a while and see what occurs. I feel quite positive about it in a way. Actually, first I felt really badly, and now I'm feeling like it's kind of cool. I don't know. It could be interesting. Sometimes in stepping back, you allow other things to engage, which while you're still there holding it, it doesn't. So, yeah, so the good question. It's kind of a bit twofold, but I suspect that by August, we would be, now at this point, without anything new coming up, we're going to start, this is the year where we're going to start seeing the month by month go down, right? Mm-hmm. Because we don't have anything planned that would make money.
Right, unless we did the festival in Seattle.
Yeah, or unless we did something else this year, you know. So I'm trying to see where would we envision. So now we're at, you know, we've been holding it. We've had things that have created that mechanism. We had the nice donation, and we had a good lunch of donations in the last 2 years. Then we did the festival, and that made a little bit of money, and then this. So that's what allowed us to keep ourselves right at that same place, right? But I'm looking forward, and I'm like, I'm not. And I would do the festival in Seattle. We're almost like where we were in 2014 when we made the decision to go ahead, right, and do a festival in 2015. But we had everybody kind of new and a bit fresh and willing to take that on. I mean, Jessica, would you like to take on Festival 2017?
I love you, but no.
Thank you. And to be honest, I would be happy to work with someone on it, but I'm not willing to do the level of effort that I've put in the past, you know? So and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that, right? Elaine.
Yes.
You're next.
Well, I just could cry because, you know, the Guild has just been my tribe as I've always described it. And, you know, this is the second board that I've been on that the organization is closing down, and it kind of reopens the wounds from the previous one because it's very difficult to let go.
It is.
But we have to be practical, and we have to realize that, you know, people can't stay on the board forever. I feel like I've I've loved every minute of it, but it's just been too long, and we need new blood. And as you say, we just don't have the manpower. So what I'm thinking of is, how do we proceed? And I don't want all of the work to fall on your shoulders. And so I'm thinking we need a committee. We need to have a dormancy committee of some sort, so that people can pitch in, so that all the responsibility isn't on one person.
That's absolutely. So just to that, I mean, I feel the same way, but I feel kind of, I'm transforming into, like, I think this can be a really good thing. I actually think a dormancy at this, or I'll call it a semi-dormancy, because we won't go totally dormant. I think we'll be able to find a place in the middle that says, like you said, Pulelehua, things will still happen, activities will still go on, we'll still accept some staff, we may even still have the website. There's lots of things I think we can still do. Now, I have not had the conversation with Pat Troy at Next Wave yet. I mean, that's my next conversation, and I'm 100% sure that she will be very, very, I mean, very sad to lose us as a client, because they really do love us. But she will do whatever it takes to help us in this as we move into this, even though they're losing a client, right? I feel quite confident in that. But so I do feel, though, that I think if we let this go for 2 to 3 years, there's little things that have been happening that I think, well, I don't know, maybe that's an indicator. But you got to step out of the way to allow that to happen. I really believe that. I think those of us who have been sitting in these seats for a long time, Tricia's kind of new, but not that new. We know that when you get tired and you're trying to force yourself forward, you're not really flying forward. You know. So.
And you know, the hope for me, the hope that I carry in my heart, is that when we talked, Wendy, I talked about creating a Sacred Dance Guild network. We have that. We have a network of people. Yeah, we have a nucleus of people. We have people that come through every time when there's a festival. So maybe if we're dormant for a couple of years, and then someone magically comes forward and says, let's do a festival, or maybe in a few years I'll feel like doing another festival. I don't know. But, you know, just aim toward that, and then have a rebirth. So, I mean, it could be a cool thing. So, I don't know. It kind of just flow at its own pace right now, I think.
No, I agree. I don't know what the answer is. I just know, or I feel that it's time to stand back and allow those things to come forward. Tricia, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was really going to affirm what Elaine was saying. This whole process, I mean, I know I'm very new to the board, has really pushed me very deeply into understanding why I feel sad, like Elaine. You know, I feel really sad, and I've had to question, well, what is it that, you know, that I'm questing for? What is it that you are giving me? What is it that I'm gaining? And therefore, how can I push forward? How am I going to meet those needs? Because clearly I have needs that, you know, the Sacred Dance Guild doesn't exist to fulfill my needs, but it does meet something very deep in me. And so it's really pushing me to, you know, see how I can work more locally, but also to affirm, you know, I am still going to come and dance with you girls. I am not going to let that connection go, you know. But just a big wave of gratitude for the fact that, you know, I was there in 2008, and I'm sorry it's gone downhill since. You know, it has given me a very deep emotional journey. So I really hear what you're saying, Elaine, but from a different perspective. But yeah, I feel a great sadness, but I accept it. I accepted it. Sorry.
Said was something about, you know, no problem parking. I'm like, there's something.
I think that's John. He's having another meeting. Yeah, thank you, Tricia. I don't mind. You know, sad is a good thing. I like sad. There are times when it's important to be sad. It's a time when it's important to mourn things. And I think that is something that we shouldn't avoid. We should actually embrace it. And out of that often comes really amazing things that we couldn't have envisaged or even understood if we didn't go through that. And I know when I write this, so just to go forward, so Elaine, I want to go back to your point, because that's a really important point. I don't intend to do everything myself, because I don't want to, and it's not the right thing to do either. So I will certainly be reaching out to people to find out, okay, once we've got a bit of a list about what needs to be done, then it'll be who needs to do it. And exactly that same thing will exist in determining what level of dormancy we want. So for example, if we want to retain this database and somebody wants to send notes out, then it says, okay, what's the name that you put beside that? Because there is no magic. If we want to maintain the website and get rid of the links to member clicks and that, then that's great. We say, okay, whose name is beside that? Jessica's been doing most of it. I've been doing some of the stuff on the events calendar. It's like you still need a name beside it. And someone who's willing to say, not only is my name there, but I will do this. It's the same as Pulelehua has been managing the Facebook pages, right? And a few other things. Everything we're going to look at needs to say, what name is beside it? Is there someone willing, and not just willing, but wanting to say, I'll do that for the next year? And if there isn't, then we say we don't do that then. It's very simple. It's like the same as ballet. If you're willing to do that and few people willing to work with you, then it will happen. If not, then it won't. And I think we need to be very honest about those things and say, yeah, I want to do it. If 3 other people want to do it, then let's go. Now, I hope and I think that we're going to send that note to membership. I also have a separate email ready to go to all the past presidents and people who've been on the board and people who are kind of in the, the list keeps growing every time I think of someone, I put them on there. But my intention is to send them a separate email from myself personally, just adding other, more details to it, but also asking them what they would like to do, if anything. And just to see if where things may float. And there may be people like Andrea may say, I still want to do the Jacob's Pillow thing. I'm going to coordinate that. I'm like, cool. So I think some of that will simply be dependent on what the response is. And no matter what you do, you still need some coordination. Nothing happens without any coordination, or at least not much. Now, on a very happy note, some of you know Martha Chapman in New York City?
Yep.
You know Martha?
Yep. So
Martha is the director of Omega East. I don't know that Martha has even been at a festival, but she's very, very involved in New York, and they have really moved more into guild stuff in the last couple of years. I've met with her a number of times. She is a very efficient, very talented individual. She teaches ballet. That's her full-time job, but she also is the director of Omega East and does most of the dance work with them. And she's so her and I are having a meeting tomorrow morning. I sent her a note, just and I said, and having told her a lot of details, but she said, coming onto the board or doing something more with the guild has been roaming around in my head too. So it's interesting that you would ask at this point in time. So I'd like to talk to you. So I'm going to have a very frank dialogue with her too about where we're at. We have talked in the past. I would love it if someone if we had someone new coming on. I would stay on in one of those 5 positions only if it's actually necessary. But I would certainly, if someone, even like Martha said, I'll take that position, formally, as long as you work with me, I would be happy to do that. And she's someone I think would be, like I said, if it's the right time in her life, she would be a very, very big asset for us. She's quite a gal.
Neat.
So there. Mm-hmm.
Mary's trying to get on. For some reason, she hasn't been able to get the email for the link. If anybody wants to forward, again, the link from your email address to her, maybe for some reason it's my addresses. I've sent it from several, but she... Oh, there's... Look at that. I made her appear. Wow. There you go. And even though I don't, I know I'm just not providing the leadership that's needed to do on the board, doing the technical stuff that I do, I love to do. So
Yeah.
I'm happy
And
to
I think,
continue to do those
yeah,
things.
and Mary and
The
Elaine have
girls
both
said,
also said,
I need a leader who says, do this by then, and I'll do it. I just can't provide the leadership that's needed.
I hear you.
I
also, a number of people like Mary and Elaine both have said, you know, while they're going off the board, they would happen to be on the program team and do tasks and events and things like that, working with people, but just being off the board formally. So we are kind of creating a nice list of people who said, I'm willing to help and do more things, but I don't want to be the board member. I am happy to kind of work with someone or maybe do specific tasks. So that's really nice to have, because if someone does come on board and they know there's task doers.
I'm kind of in the same position. I'm not sure what my sort of bandwidth will be once school starts, but if there's something that needs to be done and someone comes to me and say, hey, you can do it, and I say, yes, I can, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
If I say, no, I can't, then be someone to call on when something needs to happen.
Yeah, and I actually had a gal here in Ottawa. She's been to one festival, and she dances with one of my groups here. And she talked to me yesterday. She said, "I'd like to." She said, "I'd like to be the one who calls those lapsed member people." I was like, "You'd like to do that job?" Okay. Of course. I said, "I'm not sure how long we'll have it, but yeah, you're on," which is really cool. She said, "I like talking to people. I like having that kind of conversation, so I'd be happy to do that." So, hey, Mary.
Hi, finally.
Hi,
Yay, you did it!
Yay, Elaine's there.
Yay!
I know, it's pretty wild. So, Mary, I'll do a very quick catch you up.
Okay.
Yeah, you know most of it anyway, but you saw the draft potential email, and there's a few changes I will make. I am, after much reflection and thinking and looking at where we're all at and who's on the board and who's not on the board and trying to coordinate this thing in San Diego and not to do it and this and that, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time to step back. And I think just because the human resources don't seem to be emerging in a new, and the financial resources aren't growing,
Right.
I think it's time to move into a type of dormancy and to really, in a way, almost to sort of open that to the membership. I think people also have gotten to the point where, it'll just keep existing no matter what.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think sort of people sitting in the, the pew sitters kind of thing at a church, it'll always exist, right?
Right.
So I think perhaps taking the step back may also be reflection for people to say, just like you said, Tricia, what does this mean to me? What do I want from this? What have I received, and what would I like to give? And maybe if we do take that step back, without saying people, we're not going to dissolve, we are just going to go into a level of dormancy, and we'll have to decide what that is before we kind of announce it. That may give people actually a bit of an impetus to think about that. So I actually think that the basic change, if we go dormant, and I'm just saying this kind of not without a lot of research at the time, would be that we would not have next wave anymore. So a few of the tasks would need to be reassigned that people would still need to do. And we would no longer collect membership dues and manage membership things. We can still, and we wouldn't be able to accept credit cards because we don't have that process, or unless we added it. Jessica, you're back. So that kind of stuff would change. As long as we had someone to manage a bank account and we did our $9.90 every year, you could still accept donations. We could still make money from programs. You can still pretty much do anything you can do. As long as but it's a little less electronic, a little more sort of manual, if you will.
Right.
I mean, Tricia, you did the whole thing with the Bali trip the first time using your own PayPal thing. Now, I know it's a pain, and it's much easier if an organization does it, but it's doable. We just ran the whole Vetter workshop in Toronto using one of the snap-up ticket online processes. We didn't run it through the Sacred Dance Guild. We sent the money to them when it was done, but we ran it separately. Through a separate.
That worked okay?
It was fine. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, good.
I mean, there's a cost to it, but you know, people pay the
Right.
cost. You just increase your amount to cover that cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not as pretty and it's not as easy, but it's doable.
Right.
We will be doing it for Bali in
You
2017.
will, and there's new ways to do that, Tricia, too, that we can talk about based on what you did the first time. There may be a more efficient way to do it, even without the organization the second time. So we'll figure it out for sure. So what I'm saying is that the network still exists. The Facebook stuff can still exist as long as someone is willing to manage that, and I don't think that's a huge issue to find. It sort of manages itself to some extent. The website is, if it may or may not. I mean, the work that Jessica did to transform the website into a WordPress site allows us to decouple it fairly easily from the membership database. So just take off all the members only stuff, which would disappear. But we could still maintain the website and strip down some things. So you could still have that if there was someone willing to manage it. That's important. You know, you have, and then you'd have to pay. There's some dollars for hosting and things, but those aren't big dollars. So there's and individual programs can still happen. I'm bringing Helena Froelich here to Ottawa in November. That's going to happen no matter what.
Right.
As long as you still have insurance, you can still do a lot.
Well, and even if you don't, you can buy insurance. And you now I can get insurance here through I mean, it's nice to keep it because it's cheap, so why not? But that isn't even really necessary. It's possible for people to do it. Marilyn is still quite interested with Trinity in doing the Sacred Arts Festival in 2017 as well. Trinity would do most of that, and we would just be sort of an add-on. Elaine is still interested in organizing their England trip in 2017. Because essentially the organization still exists, so there is still a Sacred Dance Guild. It still exists as an organization. We can still use the name, the place, the whatever. We simply don't have the same public vision on the website, potentially, and we don't have the ability to run the membership stuff. But everything else can still happen. And then we can allow or give that space to see what might emerge and who might emerge. If nothing does after 3 years, you can dissolve the actual organization, the 5013C, and continue to work on as a network of just people who know each other.
Right.
I mean, that would be sad, and my sense is that won't happen, but it could, and I leave that, you know, as a potential. So one of the things that Tricia and I and Pulelehua talked about when we were in Bali, which we're all very excited about, and I'm still excited about, and I still want to think about how this could happen even, was running a sacred dance training, or whatever word we might want to come up with, program. And I talked to Mary and Elaine about this in Toronto, so they're familiar with it too, which would be kind of like a 5-day program. It would cover a lot of things for people wishing to be trained to be a sacred dance facilitator, whether they did it or not. And I just saw an interesting, I wanted to mention to you two, a course that I'm taking with MIT, actually, a WOOT, actually has a very interesting thing about certification. And it's sort of, you take all the course, it's all free, it's this and that. If you'd like to be certified, then pay an extra $50 and we'll give you a certificate at the end of it. Wow, okay. Which is kind of interesting. But anyway, there are some people doing stuff like this. So, I mean, that's a separate thing for us, and I need to be focusing on this process right now rather than that. But again, even if there is a dormant Sacred Dance Guild, it doesn't mean something like that couldn't happen. If 3 people say, we're going to get together and we're going to make it happen, you can.
Right.
You know.
I can see that as a possibility. Would just change our focus a little bit. The focus would be festivals. It would be
festivals, and we wouldn't have the same ability to manage from an organizational point of view.
Right.
I mean, I do want to understate the work that Next Wave does do. There is a lot of stuff, and if they're not, for example, we have an address, we have a phone number.
Right.
You no longer have an address or a phone number.
Right.
So you have somebody who says, well, where is all this stuff going that we get? We get stuff from Maryland, we get stuff from the federal government, we get stuff from New Hampshire. Someone has to have an address that you can change it to.
Right.
So we won't have a phone number. So if someone has to say, I'll let my phone number go out there. These are simple, but they're not. And when one person leaves, switching everything over to one other, we've lost lots of stuff in the past because we didn't have a common. So you lose a common address, you lose a common phone number, you lose the common banking process, you lose, there are stuff, you lose access to those people. So I don't want to minimize the work that they do by saying, oh, it just doesn't matter. But each one of those items, we will need to decide, yes, we continue this, no, we don't, and if we do, how do we do it? So my thinking in my own head is that I need to spend some time there. I need to find some other people who have some knowledge and are willing to work. So Elaine suggested a sort of a transition team, a committee of people who says, oh, there's 5 of us who are going to put our whole focus on how do we go dormant. And that would then be, could be people on the board, it could be people not on the board. There are some people who have some knowledge about this that could help. But that would be the board still basically between now and July and August, which is coming up very soon. I would say that the existing board, you would want to make those decisions. Right. And there's some technicalities I don't know what the answer is. Like, what do you do with these? We've got bylaws. Do you just suspend all those and they go to la-la lands? Like, I don't know.
They all stay. All of that stuff stays in place.
Yeah, but when you go. But you don't do the things. The bylaws say, for example, you must have an annual general meeting. You must do this. 5% of your members must come. Well, you can't do that if you're dormant because you don't have the ability to do it. So you have stuff in your bylaws that you can't do.
Right, so, but that's why you have that's what the dormancy state is all about.
Exactly.
Is that you're not certain things in there that are legal requirements that you don't have to do when you're dormant that you do if you decide to become alive or stay active.
And those are the things we need to be clear on. What are the requirements and who states them? In general, it is the state in which you are registered in. So for us, it is the state of New Hampshire that will that will tell us what we need to do. Vivian has been Vivian Willis, who's Mary Jane's daughter, and I have strategically had her involved. Mary Jane's still kicking. So Vivian has been very good about doing some of the work with the state of New Hampshire. Based on the whole MEF, but so now I'm going to call her and say, would you also be willing to be our contact with the state of New Hampshire in finding out what these requirements are? So that we can at least know where our decision points are. So there's still lots of work to do. It's just different work.
Right.
And I still would hold out. I mean, the email we're sending out to members doesn't say we're going dormant. It just says if we don't have 5 or 6 people who run forward saying yes, then it just simply says the board will then have to consider other decisions. Right. And I think it's best to do it that way rather than sort of go forward and say this is what we're going to do. I don't know what you guys think. Does that feel like the right thing to do? Yeah. And I'll put a date in there. I will say like July the 15th. If this doesn't happen by July the 15th, the board will meet. We'll make other decisions, and then we'll let you know.
Right.
Well, I think it would be really clear that one of the decisions may be that the guild goes into dormancy. I mean, I think it needs. Exactly. That one of the choices could be this. So know that, so that Yeah. Otherwise, people will say, "Wow, you didn't tell me. I didn't understand when you said that."
Right.
Well, those does. But
yeah, I can use that language for sure. I mean, we have in the past, so it doesn't matter how many times you say something, someone doesn't read it until it's meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can say that. I can
it's good to be able to point to it later. I told you.
But in the meantime, so what I also want to say though is that Michelle and Marilyn and Noelle and I all talked about this on Monday night. Was that I still feel quite strongly, and I am still going forward with recruiting members, even knowing this has happened, and I'm telling them that. And what my thinking is, and this is my personal thinking, is I'm saying, listen, if you pay your $45, your $60, your $90, 110, whatever it is, you're still going to be on that list of members, no matter what. we won't be then asking you again next year because we'll be finished. But the more people we have in our group as we go the more energy you have to re-energize in 2 to 3 years. So I'm still, but I'm being very honest with them and saying, no, I'll still join. It's okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
you're still going to be there for a year no matter what. You're still an organization. So I say, get in now while you still can, because next year you won't be able to be a member.
It becomes a closed organization.
How about that? Join now.
Join now while you can. That could be our new campaign.
We won't be offering this deal next year.
That's right. It's a special.
So this is a special. You get a membership for 2 to 3 years by just paying once.
That's true. That's true.
And it also can actually put in place a bank account that when you do go dormant, you've got a little bit of slush fund in there. And if you do decide to do something, you've got some money to do it with.
True.
Why not? I'm into it.
Wendy, how much money would we need to have another festival?
Well, that's an excellent question. It's a hard question because it's not a nice, hard and fast answer. The challenge is this: we did it last time with about the same as we've got now. We had about $25,000 when we decided we're going to go ahead and do the festival 2015, right? Which we did. Now the challenge is, if you have a festival, which you can do it right now, we could say yes, we're going to do it. We don't care. I mean, I can calculate this. You're going to get money in. You budget for a festival to make money. What do you do if it doesn't? And you have to be prepared for that to happen.
Right. I'm just thinking, could we get a corporate sponsor to do a festival?
Oh, absolutely. Someone wants to give you money, you can do anything. If you have the people who have the energy and the willingness to put a festival on, yes.
Yeah. But it would be so great if we could get a major organization, or a business, a corporation or something, like a PZO or whatever.
Now, if you're going to do a festival, the same thing is, that's where your organization really becomes critical. Because to run your registration, to run all that kind of stuff, you can do it with an Excel sheet if you want to. We've had it done in the past. But today it's a little harder to do stuff like that. You would need to have some kind of a mechanism, whether it's member clicks through Next Wave or whether you purchase Snap-up tickets or, you have to have something. And there's cost to those things. They aren't cheap.
But putting on a festival isn't so much about having the money right now. It's about having the people, right? I mean, Elaine asked, we have enough money to do a festival. We don't have enough people to do a festival.
Right. Well, we have enough money that even now it's a bit dicey. Because I know what you need up front in order to do it and what you need in order to make sure if you don't make money, you got to have a slush to say, I can cover those costs if I lose it. While we're doing that, you're still paying out money. So it's risky. But it's doable if you had enough people and energy. It's always doable. But you got to have what if. You got to have the what if. What if you lose money?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to say who's going to pay it. If you lose it and you got nothing left in your bank account, who's coming through? Because it can happen. I mean, you don't plan for that, but you have to have it in the back of your mind that do we have enough of a slush fund that if the festival lost $5,000, would we be able to absorb that?
Right.
So, but anything's possible. So I'm people do them without any organization behind them.
True.
It's So I guess where we're at now. Everybody's needs to think about it a little bit. My suggestion is that I go ahead and send out this email. I'll revise it a little bit. And we let it sit, and we give ourselves to the middle of July, say July the 15th, and at that point in time, we will reassess, and then we will vote and make decisions. And between then and now, I'm going to send out other emails to other people and see who might be able to help with some of what is a good process. I'll start documenting some stuff myself, but now, we can talk offline, one-on-one. If anybody says, this, I think I have some knowledge in this case, I will do it. So we'll be thinking about who might like to kind of do what as we move into the next world. Or not.
So so you're talking about July 15th. I'll be in Seattle July 15th for 2 weeks for brain dance training, and then I'm in Russia for a month.
That's so great. When are you leaving for Russia?
July 31st.
Okay.
Wow.
And then my plan was to fly back through San Diego, but of course I have no flights. I've flown one way to Russia. I have no flights back. So,
but
okay, so just thinking of doing
on that note, I am planning. My thinking at this point is, I mean, who knows, right? This is the problem. So do you go ahead and plan all this stuff, or Emmeline right now is in North Carolina, but she should be back today or tomorrow. So what I'm thinking is to still go to San Diego, still meet with whoever the heck wants to come, because there'll still be lots of stuff to do no matter what.
Okay.
So I am still planning to go to San Diego for the 27th of August for that weekend. I'm still planning to go. And Emmeline's still happy to have us there. And we may do a little workshop with Jessica. Jessica's and Emmeline are chatting. So there may be some small thing happening. It won't be a big thing, that's for sure, at this level. But my plan is to still to go there and meet with whoever is there. And we can do a call-in, too, for whoever isn't there.
Yeah, and the woman who was it Jessica that was in Bali that, right? Oh, that is. So she's just talking to, got it now. Sorry.
She and Emmeline, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've talked to both of them. So they're ready to host, or do something, or we'll find a place to stay. Emmeline has a great big house that we can meet in and whatever, and she's quite happy to host that. And there's places we can stay around there or whatever, get a hotel, whatever. So my plan is to still go to San Diego for that weekend.
Okay.
Anybody who would like to come, please come. So because we still have work to do, even if we aren't having a board transition, the existing board has some work to do, and whoever the 5 people who are staying, I think Barbara's still planning to come. I'm not sure about Marilyn. Marilyn might come to San Diego, so I'm still planning to go forward with that in some form or another.
All right.
Great. Just wanted to know.
From Russia to San Diego.
Because at some point I'll have to actually book my return flight. So.
Yeah, good plan. Good plan, Stan. Great. So, ladies, I don't know. That's kind of, there's a million other things we could talk about, but I think this is the main thing to kind of put our focus and see. On the other side, we've had quite a few people. We still get a number monthly. Info requests on the website. So these I always call them all potential members. Tricia, you're still responding to most of those?
I haven't. I've had a little lapse, but I will. I've got a whole chain of them that I need to get onto, and that was one of the questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sell a dead body, as it were. I need to have a.
I know, and we need to come up with a good language.
Yeah.
I think we're not a dead body. We are simply scaling down the operations as we look at a transition. And that is the truth. That is what we're doing. We're not dead. We're simply, taking a time out, if you will.
Yeah.
And not even a time out. It's that we'll still be doing things, but we're scaling back some of our membership organization. And you know what? We may come out of this and not be a membership organization anymore. As Pulelehua has said, we've talked about this before. There may be another way, and Mary's talked about this before, there may be something else that emerges where you have a network of people but you're not paying membership dues. Maybe it's something different. Right. So I am still encouraging people right now. I said, and I talked to a gal today, we met, and she said, I said, yeah, I'd love you to join. I said, the organization right now, we're 58 years old, we're kind of standing back and reevaluating what would we look like in the next 60 years. Would we be a membership? Would it be different? So I'm saying, love to have you be a member right now. That's what we are right now. Not quite sure where we're going to be, but we have a network of people. We have people who gather at Facebook. We're having events that are happening. So she said, that sounds great.
Yeah, I need to reword what I say in that context. So thank you for sort of sharing those little suggestions.
Yeah, we can come up with, and we do want more language. And I think Tricia and Pulelehua, we should still go forward with the work that we were going to do related to the training, because that's still valid work. Like, I don't want to stop anything that's ongoing, because whether we actually move forward or whether we just get the framework ready, that's still important stuff to do. And that's, to me, regardless as to whether the guild is dormant, semi-dormant, or totally dead. It's still work that should be done, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still
work I'm
happy
interested
to.
in, so.
Pardon?
I said it's still work we're interested in doing, so regardless of under what
the organization is the structure, yeah. Okay, so does anyone have anything else that they want to put on the table, or do we just, is this enough to chew on for a bit?
It's a lot.
Jessica, for you, Helena Froelich is confirmed for the weekend of the 11th, 12th of November.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
And I think we're glad. I love Elaine's suggestion of dance, pray, love.
I like that too.
I do. And we might do the Friday night, might be some of the things we shared in Bali, the Mandela dance and this and that, as a way to bring that in, that we've just done this trip to Bali. So the Friday night would be a sharing of some of those kind of fun things. And then Helena will do the whole Saturday, kind of like we did with Kim in Toronto. And then also my church is very interested in having, because that's our Remembrance Day service, is interested in having the group movement, and Helena maybe do a solo dance as part of the service on Sunday. So that will happen no matter what.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I have quite a few people very interested locally, so yeah. So still lots to happen, girls.
Looks like
we can become an educational organization.
We can. Well, I think that's Tricia and Pulelehua, and I think we have a real role to play there. We have some very skilled people, and it's just, and we had some ideas as to how we could put that together, being as broad-based as we are, but still able to do that. So I think there's lots of exciting things to happen. So that's really cool. Yeah. Okay, so I think we'll let this one go for now, and we'll kind of just, the next few weeks will be kind of one of those, if anything happens, I will send the notes out to everybody. We don't have notes of this meeting. I've been scribbling things because Barbara's not here, but I think basically we haven't made any official decisions. It's really just been a dialogue about where we will go if we don't, the membership doesn't sort of come back with a whole pile of people wanting to do a whole pile of things.
I like the idea of being a donor organization, rather than a member, and that is a possibility.
And you know what? I mean, in a way, we can test that a little bit by sort of taking ourselves out of the membership world and still accepting donations. If we look at how would we do that and what would it look like, and if someone we still need someone to manage that. So you need, right now, it would be a volunteer. But you need someone to manage your finances. They don't manage themselves.
Right. I wish.
The word that keeps coming to me, I know we've talked about a network, but to me the word that keeps coming is community. We would be a sacred community, and in a way that fits very well with the donor mode, if you like. But yeah, that word just keeps coming up and up again. So,
yeah, I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good. I mean, I think over the next few weeks and maybe even over this summer, that's really good for us to actually stand back and reflect ourselves. To take time to do that. We've been so kind of busy doing and trying to plan and figure out, and that maybe it's time for us to stand back and dance a bit on our own and kind of think, I don't know, what are my thoughts, and really allow that reflection time. I don't think we've taken that. We've been busy doing time. So we've talked a lot about reflecting, but we haven't really reflected. So I'm interested to do that. Well, thank you all so much, and I'm so glad technically we all got on, and everybody in Elaine, I'm so excited.
Yes. Elaine, this is her first time, right?
So my virgin voyage.
Early on, she was in too. Yeah.
Huh?
He has been in. You've been before, though, haven't you?
Oh, me?
Elaine.
What?
You made it to a meeting early on, did you?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
One time it was just Tricia and me.
Right. That's right.
Right. You got stuck over there somewhere.
We just
That's
got
cool.
to know each other. It was great.
No, I'm happy. And so, and yeah, we did. We had a great workshop with Kim in Toronto, and Mary and Elaine, and Barbara came up, and it was lots of fun.
It was lots of fun. We had a great time.
Yeah,
It was really good.
Okay, so everybody then also do think about San Diego. If you want to come, we can have some fun times. It could be like a little holiday, but we can still meet and do good meeting things and engage people via, technology to have that, because I think it's actually even more important now, maybe a different sort than we had originally envisaged, but more important that we take the time to do that. So I might, from a timing point of view, from a finance and a timing, my thinking would be, if we decide in July, August, September, it's going to take 3 to 4 months. It'll take us probably to the end of this calendar year to actually get what we need to have.
Sure.
So 2017, where you may start into that in a different state, possibly. So we'll see. Anyway, that's all good. Oh, you all heard about Josille. I sent that to everybody.
No.
Josille Nordwall died.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been in touch with her husband, and it's been back and forth a number of times. He also made a donation, and he's putting the Sacred Dance Guild as a donor in her services. So I certainly didn't get into these details with him, but I said that's totally fine. we're still open.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's
and
sad.
Ruth Ann Rood. I don't know if any of you did. You know Ruth Ann Rood, Pulelehua?
Yes.
Yeah, she's passed away as well. Did you know her, Elaine?
Yeah. I probably did, but I don't remember the name with the face.
Yeah,
Either.
she's a very quiet person, but a beautiful soul. Yeah. So she's passed away.
We're aging out.
We're aging out. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, okay, I think we're good. I think that's it. It's been wonderful chatting.
Keep dancing.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, so that's what I learned that I stayed at that ashram, and the greeting they had, Yule, which means are you still dancing? So.
Oh, I like that.
They're saying,
nice.
Yule, are you still dancing?
Yule! Jessica, I'll call you or you call me. Let's get together in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Jessica?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay, great.
Bye.
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 How do you get out of this?
On. Now she's on, she'll never get off.
Yeah. Click on the little phone icon at the top of the page.
That little red phone?
Yeah, it says leave call. So Elaine will be calling us all the time. She'll be on here all the time.
Love you guys.
She'll never get off. She's gone. Bye.
Wendy and Pooh?
Yes.
Yes. Did we say the 25th to have a get together with the training staff? Are we going ahead with that then?
Date I have, yes. And I think we should. I would like to continue to get that documented, to put our thoughts down, and I would like to continue that. Yep.
And I can't remember what I said I would do. Was it like an evaluation form for dance leaders?
You were going to look at the hang on, I got my notes right here.
So I thought I said, but I didn't know now. I'm reading my notes, trying to figure out what they said.
June 25th. Tricia's doing the statement, the principles, etc.
Right.
You're doing
I've done that.
And I'm doing some of the practical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was doing evaluation, right?
Right. So I would like actually an extension, if you don't mind. I have been my big races this weekend. So by next Wednesday, this is everybody's graduation, my grandson, my granddaughter. I'm like, ugh. But I do have this on my agenda for Monday to look at. So if I can have an extension.
Okay. So when are we going to talk?
Why don't we meet? Let me just get my calendar out. Hang on a sec. whole next week is crazy.
Is this is a week from today possible?
Looking at that, yeah, like the 29th. I've got my grandson's graduation that day, but it's that evening. But so evening's not good.
Okay, whatever works.
What about the 30th on the evening? Does that work for you?
Oh, so first in the morning. For me, it would be the first. Yeah.
Yeah. Would that work for you?
So
yeah,
it's
I can't do your.
Would that work for you, Pulele, or no? You're gone.
The same time.
Yeah, like 9 o'clock for me, and whatever time it is for you guys.
3 o'clock for me, and tomorrow morning for Trish. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Okay, let's say the 30th then.
Okay, so I'll put it on for the 30th.
So 9 o'clock.
Super, and then we'll each have put our whatever we can together by then and start documenting some of this stuff and go. I my thinking is to still go forward with almost everything that we planned, except the big festival.
Yeah.
That's my.
Well, I will I will type up what I've put together and send it to you so you've got it before we. Yeah.
Yes, and I'll do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great because I've got a bunch of things I've looked at for training, but part of it matters on what the criteria is, of course. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, we'll start getting that down and kind of move forward. So yeah, everything continues forward trajectory. I think out of this, I think it's the right time.
I think it's how we transition to a donation-based organization, which is what I think,
maybe,
or something. But it's something we can still do that. I see that time period as we're a donation-based organization for that time period, and then you figure out, it's kind of like.
Exactly. I kind of think like I was sort of the opinion that membership organizations were kind of on the way out, and they were, and they have been. Although now what I'm starting to see, there's a new trend emerging with younger people who are coming back, and they want that again. So our timing may be perfect to say you take a transition, you see where it is, and if that is where it needs to be in 2 years, then it's not very hard to reinstitute that.
Yeah.
So, and we'll see, or maybe not, or maybe there's a different way of doing it. I'm open to whatever that is.
Yeah, and then I think it needs to stop.
And I actually think it won't be us, it will be younger or different people who have ideas that we haven't probably even thought of, which I'm very excited about. So I'm good to, I think I'm actually, part of me is quite excited saying, let's just we need to let it be. We've been pushing it up the hill. And now we need to just roll to the bottom of the hill and lay in the grass. We'll make grass angels.
Well, no, I think it's kind of halfway up the mountain. It's kind of there. We've got it there.
We just don't know if we're going up or down.
Elaine or down to Tabernan. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, it's all great. It's all great. I'm still. The way I feel a bit almost like relieved, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Lots of work. Okay, so we'll start see you next Thursday, or next whatever day it is.
Next week. Well, next Thursday. Butterfly hugs. Love you.
I love you guys too.
Thank you. Many blessings. Many blessings.
Many blessings. And I'm off to go see a baby monk soon. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm off. Goodbye. Chat.
Goodbye.
Stop broadcasting.